other than the fact that he wants to win.
And as far as taking chances are concerned, Marcus Ambrose has nothing to lose and everything to gain to be able to try to run him down and be as aggressive as he wants to be to win a race.
Looks like that gap's closed up a little bit at there. Yeah, about 0.6 of a second. Closer than what it was the previous lap.
Yeah, we see Marcus Ambrose starting to push his car a little bit more. He's picked up about 0.3 of a second over the last few laps. What's going on with him, Vince?
Well, they're urging Marcus Ambrose to keep digging. But remember a while back they were a couple of laps short on fuel, and then we had that red flag, so they weren't able to save as much as you might have hoped, or they might have hoped. I just asked crew chief Frankie Kerr, are you sure you've got enough to go to the end? He had a very nervous look on his face, raised his eyebrows. I'm not sure that they're as confident that they're going to make it as they'd like to be.
I think they got a lot of company too, Vince. I don't think there's a lot of cars out here that feel real confident in that fuel range that they have.
We get a green-white checkered, you may have the guy back in 13th spot win this race.
No telling. A lot of guys would like to see, a lot of teams would like to see another caution flag. But we're down inside now, 7 laps to go.
We were talking on the way out of the racetrack here yesterday, DJ, about Marcus Ambrose. He's such a nice guy, and he doesn't like to ruffle any feathers and push and shove people around. But I mean, as you watch his onboard telemetry, what about if you're Marcus Ambrose and you get close enough? Would you be willing to put a little bumper on Tony Stewart to get that first win?
Well, he told us before the race started that, yeah, he was ready to take that to the next level. And I think that the other thing that he went on to say is these other guys understand the position he's in versus what they're in. He might get a little bit more room from them if he's able to get to their bumper.
He's still got a lot more work to do before he's going to have a chance to do that, though. He's got to close this gap on Stewart.
Yeah, you got to get to the bumper. And actually, Tony Stewart beat him a little over 1/10 the last lap.
Center loop is where Ambrose has been so good in his career here. Closes a little bit there, able to be pretty polished through there.
Well, he told us that his car seems to get better, maybe doesn't fall off as much as the fuel burns off. So he's going to have a lot of the fuel burn off. They're not going to have much left here shortly.
He's going to hope he doesn't burn it all off. He's closing the ground just a little bit.
See, there's about a 3-second gap back to the third place car. Carl Edwards, then Kyle Busch, Biffle, Montoya in 6th.
I have to say Biffle has been the surprise of this race for me because he's a great race car driver, but this is a really good race he's put together so far.
And it's just like they did everything right today. They stayed on their strategy. Biffle kept on track, didn't press the issue anywhere to get himself in a bad spot. So a really good day for him. I think Montoya's done kind of the same thing. As much as he would like to go up there and try to win this race, he's doing exactly what he needs to do.
Yeah, he's been very focused on this. There's Dale Jr. just coming out of the pits. But he's been very focused on their big goal, and that's to make this chase.
Remind you that following our coverage here over on ESPN2, we will have live NASCAR Now. So updating all that's happened here at Watkins Glen and looking forward to what's going to happen next week at Michigan.
See, Ambrose really good through that part. He actually gains a little on Tony, but I think as they get around turn 9, Tony is able to put a little more distance back on. Here we see Jimmy Johnson and Denny Hamlin battling. These guys are just outside the top 10, 11th and 12th.
I bet Stewart's saying, boy, if it wasn't for Ambrose back there, I could save a little bit of fuel. But he looks in that mirror every time, sees that 47.
These are two guys early in the race here that we thought were going to be battling maybe just like this, but it would be for maybe first and second. And it hasn't panned out for either one of them, as we see Denny Hamlin trying to take that spot away now.
Trying to stay in and not lean on the champ, and he's able to make the pass there in turn 10.
Yeah, that was a smart move by Jimmy Johnson because that's a risky place on the track to try to contest that spot.
See, right behind them is Brian Vickers, who came in the last time and got tires. He's worked his way back to the 13th spot.
So Tony Stewart trying to get his 3rd win of 2009. It would be his 5th win here at Watkins Glen, which will make him the all-time winningest NASCAR driver at this historic racetrack. And but the questions are, how much fuel do they have? And you take a look at Edwards and Ambrose, pretty darn close. Tony looks like he has a little more than those other two.
He has 1 lap more fuel than Ambrose. If we look at their last pit stop, Tony Stewart made his on lap 56, and Ambrose made his on 55. So that's the difference there. And actually, Carl Edwards made his on 54. So if we want to look at cars in that running order that probably have the least amount of fuel or the most laps on this tank of fuel, it would be Carl Edwards.
It's going to be a matter of who did the best job under the cautions that they had of saving the fuel and you know, whose carburetor's a little better right here.
And here's the bad news, DJ. At a course like this, if you run out of fuel in the last lap, there's still 28 cars on the lead lap.
Yeah, I mean, you don't make it back. You finish behind all of them.
But all of these guys that are up front there are in a position to gamble pretty much. You know, all of them pretty solidly. Well, the two guys, Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart, solidly in the chase part. Marcus Ambrose doesn't have a chance really of finding himself in that top 12. So they're all three in a position to gamble some.
Saving fuel, buddy. Saving fuel.
Yeah, I'm saving just a little.
Save a little more.
Well, that's a little tough to do at this point.
Well, we have seen Carl Edwards drop back a little bit, and I think he's, because as you pointed out, he was the first one of those cars on pit road that he's having to do a little bit more, just try to salvage that third place.
Well, this is one of the teams that gambled on having more caution laps than we've had so far. And I'm actually surprised we haven't had more caution laps, and the red flag is what caused that. They didn't get to run any laps off while they were cleaning the track.
Marcus Ambrose now gained 4/10 that time on Tony Stewart. 3 laps to go for Ambrose, and if he were to finish second, it would be a career best finish, but he's not thinking about career best right now. He's thinking about winning a race.
He wants that W.
2 laps to go here.
Whoop. Wow. I think Ambrose struggling just a little bit getting into turn 1.
Yeah, it looked like he was just kind of chasing it pretty hard there, trying to gain some more spots. And
he's just pushing, trying to make up some spots or some ground here on Stewart. If he could ever get, he feels like if he could get closer to Stewart, he could maybe either force in a mistake or just have a chance to surprise him like we saw on Saturday with Kyle Busch. Just can't get there though. Tony Stewart just so solid.
We talked about how Tony Stewart's car didn't look that steamy in the final practices, or both practices all day on Saturday, but he didn't need to look good on Saturday.
That's right. It wasn't time to show your cards. He's got them all on the table now though. Pretty good hand so far.
In the 26-year history of NASCAR racing at Watkins Glen, there has never been a last lap pass here for the victory. And if it's going to happen, it needs to happen right now. White flag for Tony Stewart, and there's the interval back between Stewart and Ambrose.
Well, it's all about the fuel now. There's not going to be a pass unless something happens as far as the fuel goes.
Okay, it's gut check time right now. You got to think even both of them are thinking about saving, just try to feather foot it up through here, because the only thing that's going to lose it for him is running out of fuel.
Yeah, but if you're the 47, you don't want to lose contact with him in case that happens coming out of the last corner. Yeah. You want to be able to have that opportunity.
The top 6 cars are very, very close on fuel. Got to be wondering if they can make it another half a lap. Tony Stewart trying to make it and win the race. Marcus Ambrose trying to make it and finish second, or maybe hope Tony Stewart doesn't.
Looks like they're going to make it. This is going to be the critical corner here.
The one car, Martin Truex, we are told, slowing over in the back of the course. He may be out of fuel.
Great run by Tony Stewart today, though. Showed why he's so good.
Coming out of turn 11, it will be official. Tony Stewart wins at Watkins Glen. Marcus Ambrose, best career finish in second spot, and Carl Edwards will come home from the back of the pack in third. Kyle Busch fourth. Greg Biffle, the first ever top 5 here.
See Montoya, Kurt Busch, and Max Pappas with a great run up in the 8th spot today.
Yeah, top 10 was a good day for Pappas, and they brought it home in there.
Tony Stewart, what a...
All right, boys. Way to get her done.
Talked about Superman at Watkins Glen. He's finished first or second the last now 6 years in a row here at this racetrack.
Yeah.